All right, hopefully we're ready to go here. Our next presentation, similar but with a lake in a different situation where it's not a town association partnership. The association is more doing it on their own. And to tell you about that, we have Susan Clark. Susan and her husband Gary, who is here somewhere, purchased a place and moved to Eagle Lake recently. Susan realized we had a problem with, and I say we because we're from the same lake, Eagle Lake. In 2003, she decided that she was going to do something about it, and she approached the board, asked about addressing the concerns. She more or less single-handedly established a committee, wrote a grant, and got started on her big story, and she's here to tell us that story now. So, Susan Clark.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for coming to listen to my story of how we were able to, how we're treating our lake, which is a smaller lake in the Annual. And a couple of history items about Eagle Lake is that the Eagle Lake Property Owners Incorporation, which is our association on the lake, and there's only one association, was established in 1907. Its primary function is to preserve the health and beauty and usefulness of Eagle Lake. Eagle Lake is 420 acres, so it is a smaller lake on the eastern side of the Adirondacks. It has 7.8 miles of shoreline and 3 miles in length. The average depth is 20 feet. And all of this makes a difference in the way we treat the lake. So that's why I'm giving you this information. There are 90 properties with 78 owners, and we have 57 members and 12 associate members in our organization. Some interesting facts about our lake, which also affects how we can treat in our lake, is that the lake is situated in between two towns. They're both in Essex County, but we have Ticonderoga and Crown Point. There is no town directly positioned on our lake. So it's wonderful because it's like my private playground, I call it all the time, because it is heavily underused by the public. But there's no town that depends on our lake for their economy. We do have a public boat launch. It is carryover only. It was closed to boats a couple of years ago. And you'll notice in the picture, the lake is dissected by Route 74, and there's a very low bridge there. So even throughout all the years when people could launch their boats, they were smaller boats because you cannot get under the bridge with a large boat. So that has helped in our Eurasian Milfoil treatment. Eagle Lake flows into Paradox Lake. It's a very small stream and miles of forest, but then Paradox Lake flows into Scroon Lake. So we talk about shared responsibilities. This is one thing that I always consider because I think it's very important. In Eagle Lake, the milfoil was seen as early as the 1970s. In the early 2000s, our association, I'm just going to call it LPOI, just so you know, because that's like the short. LPOI attempted to remove milfoil from the lake by hand harvesting and method matting. Oh, I forgot to tell you, sorry. Let's go to slide 2. Yeah. And then you can go to 3. So this is some of our owners doing hand harvesting and method matting. Due to the concentration of the milfoil in the lake, this process wasn't effective. They just were not getting anywhere with doing these two forms of mitigation. So the organization applied for permits to treat with herbicides and it was denied. So at that point in time, in the early 2000s, the project was tabled. Individual owners would go out and hand harvest in front of the properties, but there was nothing done on the lake. So then, my husband and I had bought, actually in 2017, but we moved up late in 2021 after we sold our business. And so I started being out in the lake a lot, and I noticed the nice carpet of milfoil in lots of places. There was over 70 acres of milfoil at one point in time. And so I was like, something has to be done. So when you say that and you ask a question, you're put right on the spot. So here we go. So in August of, okay, so slide number 4, or the next one. So in August of 2023, I approached the board to resurrect the milfoil project, which they approved. I talked to owners to see if there was interest, and there was. I established a 10-person committee to support the project. And it's very important from the very beginning, I always stated, this is not my project, this is our project. So that's why I talked to lake owners and I established this committee, because I felt like if I could get a committee of 10 plus the board support, you know, that's quite a few people considering how few people we have on our lake. So I knew a lot about horses my whole life. I had a large show barn down in the Hudson Valley. I did not know anything about invasive species or water quality or anything. Well, so I had to get myself educated. And the first person I talked to was Bob Hauserman from Paradox Lake. And he was wonderful. And also, Scott is here from Scott Ireland from Spoon Lake Association is here. He has been instrumental, and there's gonna be a lot of people I'm thanking, because this is a village. This takes more than a village. So I appreciate all of your help too, Scott. They were very patient through the process, because when you're learning, you don't even know what you don't know. So it was a process of all of a sudden, I was taking on the responsibility of leading this lake into a new era, and I had to learn it myself. All I knew is that it had to get done, because the lake was just really being damaged. So they recommended, Scott and Bob recommended, that I call Brian Green. Well, that was about the best move that we ever made. Brian is, of course, from APIP, which is the Adirondack Park Invasive Plant Program, and his advice and knowledge to this day is just so, I'm so thankful for all of his knowledge. So I think he's here somewhere. Well, thank you, Brian. And he's just been instrumental in helping us move forward with the project. He suggested that we write a grant for a lake management plan. I was like, what? How do I do this? Well, I had 3 weeks until the deadline for the grant from when I started. I learned really quickly how to write a grant. And actually, it was a successful grant. And we got money for a lake management plan. Next slide. So this is the plan here, and I have a copy with me if anybody wants to see, because it's 100 pages. But it's really wonderful to have this. So we're getting a grant for the lake management plan. We hired Ezra and Justin from Adirondack Research to do the plan. And through the construction of the plan, I learned a lot about the history of LPOI, our organization, and made some changes to create success. So in 2024, myself and the board had a lot of work to do. And we put together a plan to support our milfoil project. We knew that to get approvals for permits, we would have to cross every T and dot every I. We had to prove that we were good stewards of our lake to the town, DEC, and EPA. We needed to revamp the image of the board, because not much had been done for quite a few years, so we really needed to get the trust of owners again. And it was important to note that although this project vision is all about milfoil, the project is really about people. Okay, you can do a milfoil project, but you need the people to support you in order to do it. So a lot of my focus has been on that as well, as just getting people involved and feeling important in this project. Okay. All right, so the next slide. So the first thing that I did was recommended to me is we held 3 educational meetings. to inform people about Milfoil and Priscilla Court. We reached about 40 people in these 3 meetings. We had to reestablish the trust of the owners in anticipation of treating the lake. We knew that we needed to treat with an herbicide because we had so much milfoil. Everybody was telling us that we were just overrun with it. So to hand harvest or matting would not work at the stage that we were in because there was just too much of it around. So Glenn Sullivan was one of the people that we started working with very early on, and he's over there in the corner. Thank you, Glenn, for putting up with me for the last 3 years. But he came to the first meeting, which was great, because he could answer people's questions, and it was our least attended meeting, but the questions that these people asked, I listened to his answers, and then I could answer in the next meetings to come. This is just a picture of one of our meetings. And then there's another, the next one is the same. And this one, we go to the Chilson Firehouse, which is right down, that's okay, you can stare at that, which is right down the road from us to hold the meetings. So then we obviously began to see the financial implications of this project. And so we decided to do a basket raffle. And we had 8 baskets donated by owners. And then I went out and got a business basket together to talk to the businesses in Ty and in Scroom Lake. Unfortunately for the business basket, it was at a time when the LGA and the DEC were contemplating, it's a nice word, of if they were gonna treat Lake George or not. So there was a lot of hostility and there was a lot of misinformation. But we ended up setting up a day at Walmart, which, by the way, guys, this was like it turned out to be one of the best things. I was like, why are we doing this? But it turned out to be great. First of all, they give you a $50 gift certificate when you go there to do this. And we just got to talk to people. And some people walked by us and say nasty things because, all this stuff is going on. Other people came over and talked to us. And we ended up raising enough to do an entire plant survey of our whole lake. So it worked out better than we thought. And we also sold some sportswear. It was a limited amount that we sold, but we did do that as well. Okay, so next one.
How much was it that you had raised?
In the basket raffle, we did $5,000. Yeah, so it turned out, and it was a lot of work to do it, but it worked out really well. And it opened up doors. We're still trying to just open up doors with people. Okay, thank you. All right, so cultural changes. We had to, this is our new board minus one member that's not in the picture. We had to revamp the board, and we did. We got some new members, and we had energy and purpose. And I would just personally like to thank the board members. Cole has been instrumental. I called him 2 weeks after we started writing the grant in a total panic. There was a fairly significant problem, and he calmed me down and we solved it. And then Debbie Myers in the back, she's our secretary. She's been instrumental in getting a lot of the new things done that we needed to get done. Chris Hyde is our vice president. And then our 3 board members are Dave Cerny, Bill Clifton, and Jack Mulcahy. And so I have to thank them because without their support, none of this would happen. While we're getting a new board going, you can go to the next slide. We decided we're revamping everything. So Debbie did a logo contest. We had over 20 logos submitted, and all the owners voted on the logo. So this is our new logo. And with that, we created a new website, a new Facebook page. We established a monthly newsletter. We created a flyer that explained our missions and needs. And I would like to thank Joanne Conley, who's not here today, but she's a wonderful media person for us. And since I'm terrible with computers and stuff, she's totally taken that over, which has been great. We also updated our master list of owners because again, we have to be able to reach every person either by email or snail mail or somehow. We have to be able to do that. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So here is just some of our fun activities that we have started. Again, communication. So this is our annual picnic that we now do the last week in August. And next one. And last year, well, actually 2 years ago, we started doing boat parties. And we just say 5 o'clock, meet on the lake, and we tie everybody's boats together. Everybody brings their own drinks, their own food, and then some to share with everybody else. And again, it's another way that we just connect with people, and we see some people there that we never come to one of our meetings, but we see them at a party, and then we can talk to them. So again, it's just helping for communication. Okay, next one. Okay, so education and science, following science. I have, since the start of all this, I wanna make sure that I don't say, I want you to do this. It's following the science, because I don't, as good as it's been so far, if it gets bad, I don't want people to say, well, you said me. No. It's following the science. If I don't teach you enough, go figure it out, look on the computer. So we really, education is super important. We established in 2024 the Lake Management Tracker Program through APIP. With the Lake Management Plan, Ezra and Brian worked together to establish 123 points. And here we are. This is our CSLAP. We got trained last year, Nancy came, and she trained all of us new people with CSLAP. We have done CSLAP for over 20 years at our lake, so, and it has been consistently done every year. We just sort of had to change, the guards, so we had to get a lot of new people trained. Next one. And then, this is my friend Louie the Loon. If you wanna ask me later, I can explain to you about my friend Loon that follows me around. But anyhow, we also joined the Adirondack Center for Loon Conservation, and we received our certification as a loon-friendly lake. And again, all of this is just to show the strength we have in wanting to have a beautiful lake. I mean, when Glenn came and Aaron came, I tell this story all the time, we went to a spot and they threw down the sashimi dish, and they went to the end of the rope, and they said they had never been to the end of the rope and they could still see the disc. We have a beautiful lake. So, we wanna preserve that and take care of it. Okay, so 2025 proved to be a very exciting year. After establishing great communication with owners through the website, Facebook page, newsletter, and flyer, we discussed with professionals and the board about applying for the necessary permits with professionals needed to treat the lake. Although it was a year early according to our lake management plan, we decided that we were ready to apply. So the next best thing I did was hiring Glenn to do the permits. I was just like, I can't do this. The grants is enough for me to handle, plus being treasurer. I was like, I just couldn't do that. So I went to the board and said, look, this is, what other lakes do around us. And so we hired Glenn to do that, which, oh, thank goodness, because it is really complicated. So then we started with our capital campaign, and this is just a copy of how we did it. We did donor levels, and we waited till we got the permits. So the reason why we did that is people had been given money for treatments that never happened. And so they were all like, don't talk to us. So I was like, how are we gonna get around this? So we waited for the permits to come in, and we had 3 weeks to raise money for treatment. We did have some money, but we only had 3 weeks to raise that amount of money. We ended up taking the campaign through the whole summer, but we ended up raising almost $50,000. So it was a good amount of money. We established a line of sportswear and Eagle Lake paraphernalia. It was not a huge money maker, but again, it created a bond and unity within the owners. So we decided to treat 3 major beds in the northeast side of the lake. Now, from the first picture, remember, there was a causeway, so it's the northeast, the larger side of the lake. Glenn and his crew from Ready Scout did the treatment. He did a plant survey before we treated, and we reevaluated where the best treatment areas were. So that's something to remember too. You apply, when you put the permits in, you put in for all the spots you wanna treat, but then we tweaked it according to money or according to where Glenn thought was the best spot to treat. The treatment was phenomenal. People are just thrilled. You can see the bottom of our lake. You couldn't see the bottom of our lake before. It was all full of milfoil. So again, we can't thank him enough for his great communication and expertise. Okay, next slide. And this is, I think, is that Brendan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Brendan. He's on there. Going around, it's the best site in the world. Okay, so this shows you in 2024, this is our lake management tracker maps, and it's a little hard to see, but in 2024, the red is just where milfoil was. And the white and the yellow is just plant growth. And then after our treatment, you can see in 2025, on that northeast side, there's no milfoil left. Treating the 3 beds, it diluted and we treated everything. Now, I don't know how long it would be to regrowth, because some of it was diluted, but we were thrilled. So this year, what we're wanting to treat is that, like, the red corner spot. So it's a smaller area, but it's got 23 acres of milfoil on it. So there's still a considerable amount. It's probably 40 acres total.
What's the cost of treating it that you have?
So this year I budgeted $37,000, and hopefully it'll be around that. And that's what, I think that's 23 acres. Okay. We decided this year, get another outreach, is to send a holiday card to all of our owners. And we put together, off of the master list, Debbie put together a directory, and we ordered the little decals, that show your lake. Okay, 5 minutes, all right. So in December, we were very fortunate to receive the APIP Volunteer Recognition Award, which was a great honor to receive that. And it's just, there's been so much support. I can't believe the amount of support, and I've been reaching out to people all the time, but even so, nobody said, don't have time, don't have interest. Okay, so 2026, this year, the board decided to try to treat the remaining 23 acres, and this will complete our lake from being treated. Unfortunately, we did not receive any money from the grant from the DEC application, so we are continuing to establish more fundraising. And my husband and I are doing a wine and cheese party during Invasive Species Week at our house. Oh, sure. Just bring your checkbook. Yes, of course. We have some people at our house, but anyhow. So we're gonna do that, and it's the week of the Invasive Species Week. So I'm not sure how many summer people are gonna be up there yet, but we're gonna try it and see how it works out. I also plan, after we get approval, May 14th, we go in front of the APA board. After we get approval for the permits, then I'll send out an appeal letter to the owners again. And it's not like I really want to appeal to them again, but we have to. We just don't have a choice. We are also enhancing our business membership, and we're gonna approach businesses in Ticonderoga and Screw Lake to try to get more support, and we're gonna offer them advertising on our website and at our meetings. For the future, some of our biggest challenges, as you all know, is the finances. I really want to get our financial situation together so that we don't have to worry each year what we can do. Because moving forward, if we get treatment this year, we have to start right away with mitigation of regrowth. Like, I don't want to wait and have it be a huge problem again. But hand harvesting is expensive, and that will probably be our choice of mitigation, but, you know, so the financial end of it is huge. Let's see, we also, well, I just said that, we also have to create longevity for our plan. We need to continue to communicate with and educate our owners. We've been very successful at that, and we need to continue following through with plant surveys, to make sure we get the regrowth. So I hope that you guys like this, I hope I helped in some way, and, yeah,
What product are you using?
Priscilla, yeah, yes.
Have you done anything to look at the health of your lake afterwards, as far as the impact of the Priscilla core?
Yes, we have actually, which was really interesting, because, you know, we've done C-SLAP for so many years. And so some of our samples came, you know, after treatment, this past year, and it's there was no effect in the water column. So yeah, and I will tell you, it's just a beautiful thing. I mean, when you can look down, and I swim a lot and I kayak a lot, and there's, like, the milfoil is just not under your feet, tangling your legs, it's not stalling boats, it's just, it's beautiful, so.
You have public boat launches there?
We have one public boat launch, but it's only for carryover, so like kayaks, canoes, it got closed 2 years ago from boats, so. Yes,
Does the lake, is the lake used as drinking water by anybody?
yes, there are a few people that use the lake for drinking water. On the one side of our lake, the beauty of our lake is that on one side, there's 10 homes that are off-grid, and they're part of Crown Point, and that's also wild forest or wilderness forest. And all of those people pull out of the lake, but they're seasonal homes, they're not year-round. Yes.
I just want to say congratulations, Susan. For those of you who don't know, I'll just say politely that this was a real comeback story for the Eagle Lake Association, and it's really exciting to hear the community that they brought together and the opportunities that they took advantage of, and it's really exciting. This is what lake associations can and should do all the time, so.
Thank you, Nancy, we're gonna be part of it.
Okay, Susan's also agreed to stay around if you have any more questions for her. She's welcome now.